Good Life GPS. My name is James McNeil, and I'm allowed to be here because it's my show. And this is where we are committed to helping you live your best life as your best self and impact the world to make it the best possible planet to the degree that we can. To do that, I bring together the world's best, and this is one of those times. And JB has become quickly becoming a friend and a mentor. I tell you what, we get started before the show, just so you guys know. And I'm like, oh, I hope we record all of this. I want everything. So I'm so excited about what JB brings to the table for you, but also for me. We're going to talk about leadership today. If you haven't seen our first interview with JB Herrera, I encourage you with all of my heart, go watch that. Tons of wisdom on just everybody's application, use, and comfort with AI. And today we're going to be talking, we've promised that we're going to talk about leadership, and we're going to talk about the leadership transition into the world of AI. But JB, would you be kind enough just to let people know who you are a little bit more, maybe remind them all the cool places you've been and people you've worked with, that kind of thing, and then we'll jump in.
Sure. Thank you. Again, thanks, James, for allowing me to be here. I really appreciate it. Yes, I'm JB Herrera. I'm the CEO and founder of Synergy AI. We've been an AI-focused company for the last year, but primarily I want to say that I've been involved in the AI and leadership world of small businesses for about 35 years. So I cut my teeth at Apple back in the days when the Macintosh was first coming out. Went off, started a couple of companies, had some fun, had a couple of exits, and then was invited to come back to participate in the iPhone release and doing some things there with financial planning and analysis. So in that interim period, developing and designing technology and information services companies and being able to understand really what it takes from the principles of successful business, large business, enterprise caliber companies, and
Yeah.
saying, how does that fit with small businesses? Because that's one of the things that we don't do when we're doing a startup, you're a solo entrepreneur, you're starting a small team. How do you do that, right? How do you,
Mm-hmm.
for everything from how do I set up my company to what are my initial processes? What do I have to do to hire people the right way? How can I
Mm-hmm.
keep them happy? How can I help them grow? All of those types of things are the elements of being a successful business. And now it's
Mm-hmm.
just accelerated even further. So I'm really privileged to be here, to be talking with you, and hopefully can impart some of the experiences that I've had over the last 35, 40 years. Yeah, geez, it's getting old, right? Uh,
Yeah. Listen, whenever, part of the shtick for my work is to say, I've been an author, speaker for over 30 years. I'm like, sheesh, I feel like I'm under 30 anyway, but I'm
right.
not trying to hide it. I just have trouble
No.
buying it.
Yeah, exactly.
So, so I have a question that just popped up from what you said. At one point, were you an employee or a subcontractor with Apple
An employee
originally?
twice.
Employee. Okay. So So I think a lot of people are transitioning from being an employee to being
Uh-huh.
self-employed, as the economy changes. And I believe, and I'd
Hmm.
love your opinion on it. I believe the shift is not a negative, although it might be dramatically uncomfortable, but not net negative. This transition from the employee world to the ocean of minnows of small business owners who are independent and doing really cool things. I love the freedoms and so on that come with being your own boss. Uh, However, um, for those transitioning or facing a transition, a possible transition from I'm an employee to I'm an employer, or at least a solopreneur. Um, any tips on that from your experience and the people you've worked with?
Absolutely. So when you're moving from the employer employee relationship into your own business, it sometimes feels like, wow, you know what? I've got a better idea. I can do things on my own. That's on one
Yep.
side, and I
Yeah.
can move forward with it. The flip side of it in today's world, especially, is that you may feel the pressure of, oh my God, I may be losing that relationship with my employer, or I may be forced out to do my own thing. So if there's one thing that I can absolutely say that's critical to be successful, especially in today's world, is becoming uncomfortable, and becoming comfortable with becoming uncomfortable.
Yes.
So when you think about that, right? Normally you go to work, you know you're going to get a paycheck, you know you're going to get this, that, and the other thing. You hope that you're going to advance up to a certain level that you want to do. There's capital that's there. You know, it's just doing your task.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people who just want to do that. There's nothing
Yeah.
wrong with that. The entrepreneur is a different creature, though. Your mindset is different, and it forces you to think in terms of, what are all of the elements that are necessary to support a client?
Yes.
That's different than just doing the task. So if you're a
Yes.
copywriter, for example, you're probably thinking, my gosh, my whole livelihood is going to go
Hmm.
away. Not necessarily. I mean, if you're in the marketing department of a large company, that's potentially at risk because people don't necessarily at the executive level understand how to utilize AI to enhance what you're doing
Right.
on the marketing side.
Right.
You have a really a wonderful opportunity to leverage your background, your experience, your wisdom, and leverage it into something greater than what you currently are doing
Yes.
today.
Yeah.
So
I
really
think,
focus on that. That's a big thing.
well, to me, the comfort with discomfort is absolutely essential for life. Like one of the things that I'm saddened by is the lack of comfort with discomfort. I think we have misled an entire generation of people that that everyone's supposed to like you. You should get a trophy, even if you don't even
Hmm.
show up and try. But you should get a trophy because no one's feelings can be hurt, and everything has to be done for you. And if you're ever in trouble, it's somebody else's fault. You're never responsible for anything. And food is something that you find in a store. It didn't come from anywhere.
Right.
And I just, it's like, how did how did that happen? It's like we're so far from reality, it seems, that, I think one of the things that's shocking here in North America that I share with people is, some people talk about the 1%, and I ask them, what do you think is the top 1% of wage earners in a year on Earth? The top 1%. And they'll like, oh no, a billion, 100 million. And I'll say, no, it's $30,000 American. If you're earning $30,000 American a
Hmm.
year, you are the 1% on Earth. And people are like, what? It's like we swim in
Hmm.
an ocean of abundance and we complain,
Hmm.
that there's a speck of sand in our shoe. And so I really think that we as a people would benefit from developing comfort with discomfort. And I think that's one of the benefits for those who are into fitness. I think it's one thing that they get, like farmers get it. Like you've got to have, 3 days worth of work done before the sun comes up, as a farmer. And then when you work out, you don't get the gains without the pains. It doesn't just show up, and it's not just the gym. It's the six packs are made in the kitchen. Those kinds of. So there's some people who are engaged in physical reality things that teach them comfort with discomfort. I remember saying, "Oh, my muscles are sore." Someone says, "Oh, you poor thing." I was like, "No, no, no. I'm celebrating. I finally worked out." So
Right. Right.
comfort with discomfort is one of the elements I think is huge. The second is, what do you think of this? Comfort with chaos. Because I think people who have an employee mindset have a discomfort with chaos, and they
Hmm.
delegate leadership to people who handle chaos. But I show up at that time at that desk and I get paid whether the company's making profit or not. There's a comfort with the avoidance of chaos, and some entrepreneurs are chaos addicted, but I think
Yeah.
that's one of the other key factors is to have a reasonable comfort with discomfort and a reasonable comfort with chaos. Would you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. There's the old physics example of the ball that goes back
Yeah.
and forth, and finally gets to a position of rest. And in many
Yeah.
instances, I think people try to get to that point. Ah, it's all done. It's all taken care of. I can sit back and relax,
Hmm.
right? Because that's what you're supposed to do. Yeah, I don't think
Yeah.
so. We're
Yeah.
we're as human beings, I think we're given this opportunity to really grow on a daily basis beyond where you were the day before. And
Hmm.
when you think about it, if you're not doing that, you have a whole bunch of talent that's sitting inside of you, and it's almost a sin not to do that, not to give to other people, not to give to yourself,
Yes.
not to improve. And so if you don't have that mindset, that eager mindset that's willing to say, you know what, I want to be out there when uh, stuff is happening so that I
Mm.
can improve myself. I can, hone my skills to become better than where I was. Then,
Yes.
then you're kind of dying a little bit inside. And that's where I see everything is going. I mean, when I talk with
Hmm.
many different CEOs and leaders, they're trying to press the easy button, right?
Yeah.
And the fear, for example, in AI and automation and technology is it's going to take over. And well, if your mindset is trying to make everything easy, and what automation does is makes it easier, then it's easy to make that transition to, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
technology is going to completely replace me. I don't want to have anything to do with it.
Mm.
When really what you should be thinking is, it takes me 50 hours a week to do my stuff. I don't have the opportunity to spend time with my family or do things to improve myself or
Yep.
enjoy the world. What if I were to do something that would enable me to get it down to 25 hours a week?
Hmm.
Same level of throughput, same efficiency, improve your output, serve people better, and with less time.
Yeah.
Man, I think that would be awesome.
Yes. Yeah.
What could we do if we had a bunch of people that were all doing that together to help others? Man, that's a great world. But
Yes.
most people they're not focused on that. They're focused on, hey, how can I just chill out and have
Yeah.
everything come to me and, all that kind of stuff. It's like, no, wrong, wrong, wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. To develop a unique ability, a unique competency, a unique method of
Hmm.
service to humanity is one of the key elements to having a great life. If you haven't figured out
Hmm.
what is your special gift to the planet, like what you bring, and don't if anyone's watching this, don't be nervous. Like, I don't know. It's like, then find out.
Right.
Like, and the answer is there. That's the good news. The good news is you have a thing that you bring. It's your kindness or your or your
Hmm.
insights or whatever, your disciplines. There's things about you that make the world a better place. And then with things like AI and automation and having a team, then you just merely get to shine a spotlight, a magnifying glass to multiply and compound the impact of that thing. But if you
Hmm.
don't have your thing and you're trying to get AI to do something, it's not you delivering service. It's this other thing, and that's where things can go sideways. But if
Hmm.
if if the real you can be multiplied to the power of 10, to the power of 100, and you've got your specialty, you know what you're able to do, and then you can get it out to more people, well, then you deserve the rewards and the relaxation with your family. So would you say that,
Sure.
like, you've got to have your thing, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you hit something that most people are afraid of. That, it's always easy to look at the Olympics or the World Series or the Super
Mm,
Bowl and say, "Oh, look at those guys. They've done they've found what they were doing." Or you'll look at kids who are concert pianists and they've been practicing since they were 3 or
yeah.
playing chess. But you know what? That ends up being less than 1% of the population.
Yeah.
So 99% of the people are not like that. So don't look at
Right.
yourself comparing yourself to that kind of person. Compare
Right.
yourself to yourself and just be a
Yeah.
little bit honest. For me, it was the longest time it took me to understand my biggest, I guess, skill is connecting dots. Where,
Mm,
what does that mean? How do you make money connecting dots? I
yeah.
want to do, blah, 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 right? I want. Well, it only when I turned that around and I said, if I'm trying to help somebody, what do they need to have? Well, then I can connect dots better than many people. So let me see if I can put together something that's customized directly for them.
Yes.
And now all of a
Yeah.
sudden I'm taking that part of who I am that's really cool and turning it into something that can help others, and in the process it helps me as well. But it
Yeah.
starts from that perspective, right?
Yep.
Hey, This is what I'm good at doing.
Hmm.
Oh, okay. Now that's different than saying follow your bliss and follow, your, I mean,
Yeah.
yes, you can do that, but
Yeah.
there's a really interesting Venn diagram that I always put together, which is kind of the confluence of a series of resources and activities, some of which are your skill sets, some of which your passion,
Mhm.
but the market has to appreciate what it is that your
Yes.
passion and your skill set is. Otherwise,
That is, yeah.
it's not going to work. So it's
We got to
building on
compare
that.
Venn diagrams. I have the same Venn diagram.
There you go.
I did the same. I did the same thing. Um, yeah, absolutely. To see the intersection between my loves and my unique abilities and the
Mhm.
needs of the marketplace or the needs of
Sure.
the world, and to see that sweet spot intersection of this is going to make my life better and the world better if I focus here. And
Mhm.
when you were talking about the Olympians and so on, two thoughts popped up, and then I want to get into, and then I want to transition to talk about the business leaders,
Mhm.
how to look at AI,
Mhm.
where they might go wrong, or sorry, where they might go wrong either by delaying or knee jerking, and then some
Mhm.
wisdom moving forward. But before we move forward, I wanted to pounce on that thing about the Olympians. A couple of things. Number one, I just have to say it because it hit me. You may have heard the story of the concert violinists or whatever. They play a symphony and everything's magnificent. And as they're leaving, someone said, I would give my life to be able to play like you. And the concert violinist turned almost angrily and said, "Well, I did."
Right? Exactly.
You say you would give your life. I did give my life. I don't know
Right.
how to do anything else. Don't ask me to play checkers. Don't ask me to paint a mural. Don't ask me to in a drinking competition. You know what I know how to do? One thing, because I invested my entire life doing it. And so I thought that's a very powerful reminder when we say,
Mhm.
"Oh, I'd love to be able to." Well, good. And it might
Right.
take more than you're willing to invest. That's one thing. And then the other thing, and maybe it's going back to this idea I was on earlier. So forgive me. I don't want to dominate, but um, the idea that it's important people know that there are difficult things. And I don't know who I was reading that said this, but younger people think that there's the easy and the impossible, and that's all the world is made up of. If it's not easy, it's impossible. So if we talk about being great at anything, they'll say, well, if it's not easy, then it can't be done. It's like, no, almost everything of value is on the other side of difficult. It's on the other
Right.
side of I'm going to learn, I'm going to mess up, I'm going to embarrass myself. I launched a new community on a new platform this morning or yesterday, and I was playing with it this morning. Got in trouble. Oh, you're not allowed to do that. You're violating community rules. I'm like, oh, so I was embarrassed, and I was like, "Ah, I don't like making mistakes." And the lady's like, "Look, I private messaged you. Nobody else knows. You're new. We love you. Welcome, but don't do that."
Right.
So she was really good. But if you're not willing to look bad, you're unlikely to ever look great. You just have to be willing to say, "I'm going to get to the vision that I have, and it might be ugly between here and there." And that's
Mhm.
maybe a good point of transition to say, how does a leader get their company up and running to fully benefit appropriately with the automation and AI revolution, and
Mhm.
how urgent is it? So if you don't mind, I'd love to ask you about that. So you're in the business of helping businesses with exactly this. So number one, how urgent is it for every kind of business and small business owner and independent person? What might go wrong as far as pausing or knee jerking, and then some wisdom. If you don't mind, just launch in anywhere you want.
Sure. So I think the best way to think about AI and technology is that uh, you have to treat it like it's a 4-year-old. And I learned this, which is really, really interesting. I learned it with my grandson, who's 4. He was 3 at the time. So as I was really trying to figure out how to, use these LLMs and prompting and all that kind of stuff that you have to do technically, I realized as I was speaking to my 3-year-old grandson, it, I had to speak to him in a certain way because he knew a lot of things, but he didn't know the context for everything. Same thing happens with AI, right? You can use a tool and it can be really, really good, or it can be really, really bad, the result, but that's you. That's all on you. Don't blame the LLM for all the different kinds of things that it can and can't do. You are the person in charge. You have agency. So think of it from that perspective. If you think about utilizing technology from the perspective of, this is my tool. I'm going to direct it. I'm going to guide it. I'm going to give it the guardrails. And I'm not going to let it go out beyond other things. Instead of saying, oh, I want to press the button and have everything magically appear.
Yeah.
You know, I think the answer is
No way.
no. Don't do it that way. Okay. So yeah.
Absolutely not.
So I have that conversation with a lot of different people. That's why the button is still sitting here. Why isn't it working? Well, because you're not taking agency. You're not being responsible, as a true leader should take responsibility. So there's a difference between delegating responsibility and abdicating authority, right? And we get that confused as leaders. And unfortunately, in today's world with AI, it's because the functionality is available for everyone, individual contributors, managers, solo entrepreneurs, executives, blah, 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 doesn't matter where you are. The technology is available for everybody. It used to be, when you rolled out technology, it was from the top down, right? Now it's everywhere. So guess what? Is it urgent? Absolutely. And I'm happy to admit that I'm 68 years old and I'm learning like I'm a 30-year-old right now. And you have to have that mental attitude, that desire to embrace this, because it's fundamentally going to change every month, certainly every year as we move forward. And the people that are around us need us and our experience to blend with that technology so that we can help them use it for the benefit of themselves and the people around them. Leaders forget that the role, it's not top down anymore. Now it's a series of concentric circles. AI does that. It's a leveling technology because everybody has access to it. Nobody, the person coming right out of college has the same version of ChatGPT or Claude or whatever they're using as Elon Musk does, or Jeff Bezos, or all of those multi-billionaires. It's the same technology. The question is, what do you do with it? It's like time. Everybody has the same amount of time, but what do you do with your time? What are you doing? So leadership is a little bit different now than it was before. Now what we have to do is think of ourselves not so much as, oh, I'm just going to sit back. And I used to work for a company that does mentoring for small businesses. And their concept was, you're a strategic visionary, and that's what you do. You sit back, and that's your role as the CEO. And well, yes, that's part of the role.
Yes.
But in today's world of AI, you can't sit on the mountain and pontificate from on high down below to everybody, because they've got the same level of technology that you do. They have the capability to access all of that data. That's even more data than the experience that you have, right? Because I've only lived one life. I've only got my experiences.
Yes.
AI has the data set of all, everything that's on the internet. So, you're in a different space as a leader now than you were before.
Yeah. Well, an embarrassing thing just came to mind as you're saying that, and you hit on a number of things I'd love to pounce on. But one of the things is, I abdicated responsibility in my past business ventures because I didn't want to learn what I would need to learn. Like if I said, just build a website, or build a landing page. Let's make it a little simpler. Just set up a new landing page for this product service that I just made up on the fly. And if it takes them more than 5 minutes, I'm annoyed. Look, it's the thing. You just put the thing in the place and then you make the thing. Come on. And then and then I would bully them sometimes because I was just being irresponsible, and I take responsibility for that. Now I realize that
Mhm.
was me. But what they started to do um, just to calm me down is they would build them badly. So they didn't tag the buyers. They didn't set the zaps or the
Mhm.
web hooks to trigger this and trigger that. They would set up a below half effort landing page that didn't function right, didn't set the client up for success right, didn't set up our service people right, didn't provide an easy access to but they're like, fine, look, there's a pretty landing page. And I'm like, finally. And I felt I was victorious. And they're like, you gooberhead. So
Right.
so so they engaged in ruthless compliance to my uneducated barking.
Mm.
And that's on me. That said, these things are now things that I'm saying I've got to learn and I want to learn. So I'm learning more and more and more. And I have panic attacks sometimes learning some of these things because I'm not it's not my comfort zone. That said, however, I just want to say that now in this age of AI and automation,
Mhm.
that even the more disciplined leaders of the past might now be tempted to fall into the errors that I have had in the past and just throw their hands up and say, I don't know, just make the woo-woo stuff work and get rid of all the employees since there's AI now. Like we don't need and they
Mhm.
read a headline somewhere but
Mhm.
without truly understanding sufficiently what AI means to a business, it is absolutely irresponsible to bark orders or expect things
Mhm.
because it really does require understanding, in my opinion. I feel like it might be really tempting to people to just abdicate and just step away and say, just do the AI thing, make it work. And is that going on out there? Am I the only irresponsible leader on the planet? Are people doing that, like not digging in to learn?
Oh, first of all, you're not alone. There's, I would say, like, of the people, it's the last day of 2025. So
Yeah.
I'll give you some information that you may or may not know. But about
Ooh,
60% of the U.S. population doesn't do anything with AI.
wow.
60%. Now, you would not expect that that would be that big a number because of
Right.
the hype cycle that's on on the technology side. Billions of people are using
Yeah.
ChatGPT, and now the next thing was Google's Gemini
Gemini?
3 and
Yeah.
Nano Banana Pro
Yeah.
are coming to the a higher number of users in a shorter period of time that even ChatGPT was. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
everybody's going to be using it. Yeah,
Yeah.
stop that stuff. If you were to drive into any small town, um, who's doing farming, or if they're
Yeah.
doing HVAC, or they're plumbers, or they're
Sure.
home
Yeah.
inspectors, yeah, that's not a big thing for them. Now, could they use that in their business? Absolutely. Could they work smarter? Absolutely. Could they manage their books better? Absolutely. But eh, they're they're an artist, they're a craftsman of whatever their subject matter is.
Hmm.
And you can't be uh, an expert in multiple different places. Like, I was a dot
Right.
connector, right? That means I connected dots. That didn't mean that I was an expert in all the different dots that I connected.
Yes.
So what
Well,
we have to
I think,
do,
yeah, sorry. Yeah, I apologize
no,
because I think you were on the track of landing what I was asking. But if I was unclear for the viewer, I was not suggesting that I think every leader needs to become a uh, artificial intelligent engineer, that they have to know how to
yeah,
program
no,
it or integrate it. But I do, the direction I was going is, what is the level of responsibility on leadership to comprehend this new playground. Not to be an expert at it, but to comprehend it.
Right,
I think
right.
you
Okay,
got
so
what I meant.
yeah. So we're gonna take you back now in time,
Yeah.
way back in time. Henry Ford back in time, right? So most people don't know the story about Henry Ford, but his family wanted to take Ford away from him when General Motors was building
Yeah.
up because they were taking market
Yeah.
share. And so they took him to court. They wanted him out of the
Yeah.
business. And the judge asked him, so can you tell me a little bit about what's going on? Do you know how the manufacturing floor works? And he said, nope. Do you understand where your numbers are? Nope. Do you understand how the market works and why, if you make this decision to do this thing with this new product, that it could potentially negatively impact the stock price? He says, well, yeah, I guess I understand that. Well, Mr. Ford, why is it that you think that you're capable of, managing this business when you don't know the answer to these questions? And he said something very simple, and I think is brilliant, and it applies today, especially to AI. And it's this. He said, I don't need to know the answer to all those questions because I just go over here. If I want to know the numbers, I pick this phone up and I call my CFO, and he knows the answer to the questions. And if I need to know the production capabilities of this particular manufacturing facility, I'll pick this phone up and I'll call my manufacturing guy over on this side. I don't need to know the answers. I just need to know who I need to ask to get the answers. And that's the key that you need to really focus on when we talk about AI in today's world. You need to really understand what questions to ask and who to ask them, right? So that you can get answers. Don't be afraid that you don't know. Nobody knows all this stuff. I mean, I work with many, many people who are much more knowledgeable about the innards, if you will, of large language models and how it works. Doesn't make me feel any sillier or less smart. Doesn't make me less efficient than who they are. What it does do is it gives me an appreciation of the level of complexity. And again, as a dot connector, what I get the opportunity to do is put together systems that enable people, regular people who don't have the same amount of time, energy, and resources that I do, to implement those solutions for them, for their benefit. That's the key. Understand what kinds of questions need to be asked and who do you need to ask them. I think we lost James. So we live in a really interesting time. This time that we're living in is, for leaders especially, it's really trying to understand that the role of the leader in a company is not just a title. It's a person who is willing to take responsibility for increasing their capabilities. Using AI, I'm going to reframe this for everybody here. Don't you think of AI as artificial intelligence. Think of it as augmented information. Information is just data that's sitting out there. And you, as the agent, as the human, have to put some intelligence into the augmented information system, which is what we call AI today, ChatGPT or Claude or anything like that. It's the reason why we have, the name of our company is Synergy AI, and we talk about human brilliance, which is multiplied and amplified by AI. If you think about it from that perspective, then it doesn't have to be as fearful, and you as a leader can really take the opportunity to think like you're talking to a 4-year-old. You can learn how to do different types of things with it. You can have a conversation with it. Now, does that mean that as it gives you an answer that sounds really, really awesome, is that the right answer? Well, may not be the right answer for you, and that's okay. It doesn't mean that the LLM was wrong. It doesn't mean that ChatGPT is wrong. It doesn't mean that you're wrong. It just means that you haven't connected in the right way to give you the answer that's sufficient to support whatever your needs are at any given time. So leadership in today's world, especially, comes from every level of the company, from an individual contributor who's coming from an intern to first job, through an experienced CEO. we have the capability now of doing things that we never thought that we could do. I was telling James earlier today that for 35 years, actually 40 now, I was mentoring and working with small businesses and on the technology side and building out my own business side. But in the process of doing that, what I recognized is that this knowledge needed to be systematized. And so when you're doing one-on-one, it's great. I could help a lot of individual CEOs, but what I wanted to do is design something that could actually live beyond me. So I'm preparing this software ecosystem, which I call Insight 360, putting it together so that other people can have access to the same type of technology without having to go through the same pain that I had to go through. So again, paying it forward, but more importantly, giving you the capabilities of learning it in a way that makes sense. So hopefully that makes sense.
Well, it does, except I haven't been here for the last 5 minutes.
Ah, okay. Well, I just kept going.
You are gold. I don't know what happened. It just started doing the spinny wheel thing, and I'm embarrassed. But when I was here and captivated, you were talking about Henry Ford and his family in the court case and the buttons on his desk. That's where my screen froze. So if you don't mind, just bring me up to where you were landing, because it is essential for me and others to know how much we need to know. What is our level of responsibility? It is wise and right and good to trust experts. So when I speak with you, JB, it's one of the things I say to people. I learned as I was hiring consultants. I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on consultants. And one of the things I've learned is when I hire a consultant, listen to them, which sounds odd, but it wasn't always the case. So for me, I think it's essential that we find trustworthy people and then trust them. That said, there is a level of responsibility that we have to our shareholders, stakeholders, our employees, our families, and so on, to say, I have to understand enough. So can you just tie those loops together? Again, I apologize for having disappeared for a minute there.
No, that's okay. So the thing about Henry Ford is I guess the principle that he proved is that you don't have to know everything, right? What you have to know is who to ask, and you have to understand what question to ask. So the best CEOs that I know, that I learned from, were the people who knew what questions to ask. And ironically enough, I mean, Steve Jobs was a brilliant guy from in a lot of different perspectives. And when he came back after he had been unceremoniously booted out of his own company, but he came back a more humble person, but never losing the intensity that he had before he left. But what he was able to do, and the reason why the iPhone came out the way it was and the iPad did too, is he trusted the people that he worked with. There's a great story about the guy who created, if you're familiar with the iPad, it goes in two directions, and all of our phones and everything does. And he was the one that put together the user interface so that when your iPhone went vertical and it went horizontal, it changed the keyboard. And there were 5 designs for what that keyboard looked like. And Steve was having this meeting, and the head of hardware, software, user interface was all there, and there were 7 people in the room and this one designer, and he was the only guy that Steve looked at. He could have said, no, we want to do a focus group, we're going to do this, that, and the other thing. He said, no, I've trusted you to build this thing out. You know what the people want. You know what's the easiest thing. You tell me, what should we do? Now, that's not a story that people understand about Steve Jobs.
No, I've never heard that about Steve Jobs.
But the iPhone team was only 26 people.
Wow.
Yeah, you'd think it was this huge thing, but no, they were given responsibility and accountability to make it happen. So for him as a leader, isn't that what you want to do? You want to give people the responsibility not abdicate your authority, but delegate
Mhm.
responsibility and give him the accountability to make that happen. And so he was a tough taskmaster, obviously. He wanted it to be a certain way, a certain aesthetic, a certain sense of joy and fun. And he got that. So,
Mm.
when you think about leadership in today's world, it's being able to say, do I understand this AI stuff? Heck no. But can I learn enough about it to ask the right questions? So here's a
Yes.
couple of questions that you might want to consider asking yourself.
Yes.
When I start sending my prompting, right? Because essentially what you're doing is you're sending in a command. In the old world, we would call it writing code in a specific language. You're
Mhm.
using code, but it's English language. So the question that I would ask you, and you should ask yourself, is, do I have a command of the English language such that I know the definitions of the words that I'm putting in here?
Oh,
Because if you don't, guess what's going to happen? If you're ambiguous and unclear in the words that you use,
mhm.
the system can't understand what you really mean. Just like a
Right.
4-year-old,
Right.
right? Don't hurt yourself, or let's see, what would be a good one? Don't harm anybody is different than don't create an atom bomb,
Yes.
right? But they're kind of contained in the same concept. Harming somebody, if you blow up an atom bomb, it's going to harm a lot of people, right?
Mhm.
But the AI doesn't necessarily know what you're talking about if you're
Right.
saying one sentence like
Yep.
create an article about leadership in the AI world that doesn't harm anybody.
Yes.
What the heck does that mean?
Yes.
I don't even know what that means as a human. How can the AI understand
Mhm.
what that is? So understand English. Understand that when you're speaking, that you have to be consistent with the words you use. Synonyms can be confusing for an AI, just like
Mhm.
they can be confusing for a person coming into this country that's English as a second language. They'd say
Mhm.
that English is one of the most difficult languages to learn because we have these different
Mhm.
words that can mean the same thing.
Oh, we make up rules as we go.
Exactly, right? And so how can it understand the context of what you're saying if you just give it this really simple thing like create my business plan for a company that makes little bobblehead dolls, right? Okay. Um, what would that look like? I don't know, but it's going to come up with a bunch of different things and it's going to sound really good, but it doesn't represent who you are.
Mhm.
So again, be clear about your English. Understand that there are words that are going to be confusing and don't be vague. I mean, these are really basic things. So if you're asking as your leader, right? And it doesn't mean by leader, I don't necessarily mean that you're only the CEO asking these questions. You could be a
Right.
manager, you could be a supervisor, you could even be a member of the staff, whether you're bookkeeping or marketing
Right.
or whatever it ends up being. But you can just ask that question. I'm not sure. You got an answer. I'm not quite sure. How did that come out? What were you
Mhm.
asking it? Can you tell me what you asked? That's a great question. Because what you're doing then is you're forcing the people to use their human brilliance so that it can be augmented with AI instead of what did how are we going to respond or react to the AI's information that it gave us, its
Mhm.
recommendations? It's not the best recommendation.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
One of the things, yes, I think so, right? But if I was to try and say it back, I might not nail it. But yeah, and with AI, one of the
Mhm.
things that I'll jump to the funny thing that came up rather than trying to recapture that thought. It'll come back to me. This is a twisted way. I always try and find twisted ways to think of things. You ever see the movie Bedazzled?
Mhm.
Elizabeth Hurley and was it Brendan
Right.
Fraser?
Yeah.
And he makes a deal with the devil, uh, and that was Elizabeth Hurley. Um, and and so she says you get these wishes like the genie in the lamp, but except he sold his soul. So so he says I want to be this girl that I like, and I can't seem to get her attention. She seems to like guys who are sensitive. So I want you to make me the most sensitive man in the world. And it's tragic. And then he says, now I want you to make me rich. And it's tragic. And so every time he asks for something, she intentionally misunderstood it to curse him so that he's never getting what he wants. And that may be a twisted sense of humor of mine, but I think when it comes to AI, number one, no, it doesn't know what you mean. You know, it's not like you hanging out with your friend saying, "Well, you know me, you know what I mean." It's like,
Right.
no, AI doesn't know you like your cousin, right? So
Mhm.
maybe it doesn't know what you mean by the word leadership, or but what you mean by the word threat, or what you mean by
Right.
whatever. So number one, it doesn't know you. It doesn't read your mind. That's number one. And number two, it is doing its best with what you give it. And so,
Mhm.
so for me, I think what helped me is when I stopped getting frustrated at AI and I gave it my frustration. I would just say, "This isn't working." Say, "Okay, let's revisit this. What?" And I said, "Well, da, da, da." And then AI was like, "Oh, well, then would you like me to do this?" I'm like, "Yes." But what
Mhm.
I found was I can ask AI how I can get better with AI, and that really, really helped me to say, I want
Mhm.
to get better at understanding what it needs from me, so it can do it. It's not like a disgruntled employee. Like I told you the story of my staff turning on me because I asked for it and they got into ruthless complaints. Well, AI is not moody. It doesn't hold a grudge. So that part is good, but it still needs to know what you want. But it always wants to get it right. It's
Mhm.
not actually um, there's no ill intent. It merely doesn't understand what you're talking about sometimes. So is that helpful? Did I say that in a way that you would
Yeah.
align?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you think about what it's trying to do, it's an inference engine, right? And
Mm,
everybody understands what an inference engine is. If you think about autocomplete on your phone,
yeah.
you can start doing, and it's guessing what the next word is going to be.
Which can be funny.
Right, can be very funny. But in the if you and it's really weird when you look at it, you go, where did that come from? Oh yeah, I get it. That's kind of silly. But if you
Yeah.
look at AI as just this really, really complex autocomplete,
Mm,
right? Then you
yeah.
can kind of understand, well,
Yes.
if I'm on my phone, it's just me and the phone, and it's guessing what I want. But when you use an online version of autocomplete, it's got millions of people and billions of data
Yes.
points and all of that kind of stuff. So who knows what it's going to come up with,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
It
It's
doesn't mean
funny.
it's wrong. It just is what it is, right?
Yeah. It hit a funny button there. You know the people who want to complete your sentence? It's like that.
Right.
It's trying.
It's trying. It's trying its best. And guess what? It's designed to help. Let's see how to. So there's when you build a large language model, the first part of it, it's pre-training, right before it gets released. Then it gets released, and then it trains itself more as
Mhm.
it's used. So it's
Yes.
being trained by millions of people, billions of data points, and you're training it too.
Mhm.
So in your individual conversations, it's trying to get the right answer that you're happy with. Now think about that for a second.
Yes.
If you're unclear about what it is you want, how can it be give you a result that you're going to be happy with? It's going to keep trying to put
Yeah.
different things in there until you say, this is great, thumbs up, not
Yeah.
thumbs
Well,
down.
I think that's actually a huge point. And the next conversation I hope to trigger is what can leaders do right or wrong right now? Like that. Like how have people made decisions that were insufficient? They're either knee jerky or trying to do too much with one thing. I want to get into the. I definitely want to get into that. Oh, you had just finished saying.
You're having a moment. It's okay.
Oh man, because you had triggered a thought that I thought was, oh, that's it. Thank you. So thank you for your patience. The reality is sometimes when you and I, viewer, maybe not JB because he's pretty sharp, but for the rest of us, we we may go to AI with an unclear outcome. And I think this is a very important point that if you are unclear about your outcome, it doesn't mean you're doomed. It just means the likelihood of AI figuring out your outcome when you don't know your outcome, that might be tricky. That said, show up how you are, but be honest about how you are. So I know that when I've worked with artists, I'd say, create something sexy, like just make it not suck, and they'd say, okay, really? I'm off, like, James, do you really have an opinion? I'm like, no, the colors I like, but like, just do something that isn't horrible. And we laugh and then they go play. But I have to be gracious with them because they were completely off the chain and respectful, of course. But then other times it's like, here's the feeling I'm trying to create, or here's the reason I want this. But the more I give them, the better they give me back. And so if you're going to AI saying, I need a website, but I don't even know how to spell website, can you start giving me ideas? Can you start? And if you're honest with AI and say, I really don't know, can you help me become clear on what I'm trying to achieve? And I find that self-awareness and clear communication goes a long way with AI. If you know that you don't know, start honestly. Then it can help you from there. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. So here's what I would say. We'll talk about leadership here. We're going to tie it all together.
Yeah.
Which is this: it's not being honest with AI; it's being honest with yourself,
Yes.
right? And if you can be honest with yourself, and you can be honest with other people,
Yes.
then guess what you're going to say? I'm not sure. I don't know.
Yeah.
So most people think that they can just type the prompt in and get a response and blah, 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 blah. But the reality ends up being that's not the first step in using AI at all. What is the first step, you might ask? Well, the first step really is figuring out what it is you want. And if you don't know what you want, how do you figure that out? This is not an AI issue now, right? This is an issue that we as humans always have. I'm not quite sure what I want today. I'm not quite sure what I want to eat. Where do you want to go today? I don't know. Where do you want to go? Right? That's a human thing that we have. So when we sit down in front of a computer, it's like being a professional writer, or even now it's just a content writer. What do I say? I don't know. What should I do? Well, we have to start with that. So here's the thing. You can actually sit down and say, in fact, I would recommend that. Actually, this is a really good tool. I'll build it for you. So you would sit down and you would say, I don't know what I don't know about this. Can you work with me? Can you work with me to build out the structure, the architecture, and what you would need to help me solve this problem? Oh, sure. It'll off it comes with a bunch of different things, which may or may not be correct. But now at least you're in the process, the human process of trying to get clear about what your intention is. See, that's the most important thing. We don't have. I could probably ask 100 people, and 95% of them would not understand. What are your core values? How what are the principles that you use to make decisions? Principles to make decisions? I just make decisions, right? But you know what? Those rules and how you really embrace those concepts, and they become part of you that you can articulate, become the guardrails that you're going to use with AI. When you're clear about those things, and that's why I built a system around that, values-driven AI ecosystem. When you do that, then all of a sudden your responses are really clear. They're very, very consistent, and Everybody understands what exactly you stand for, what your product is, and what your services are, and what you mean. And the AI understands that as well. But we don't take the time necessarily to do that for ourselves as human beings.
Right.
But in the world of AI, the consequences are huge for us. Because remember what we were saying before, that, this is not just, consulting one-on-one, but this is now the capability that everybody has. So if you want to make yourself and your company and your next entrepreneurial venture unique, then you must be clear about what that is as a human being. Then you can build that into whatever tool set, if you prefer ChatGPT or Anthropic or Gemini or, whichever one you want to use. But each one of those tools has a defined purpose as well. So again, you as the leader should be asking that question. What's the best tool that I
Yes.
should use? Should I use a sledgehammer, a 16-pound sledgehammer, or a hammer?
Yeah.
Or do I use a 16-pound, this or that? Or what should I be doing? That's a great question for a leader to ask.
Yes. Well, I want to definitely introduce the idea of people should find someone like JB, if not JB, to help them in this new playground. That's something I really believe, that you need to find people you can trust that have the competence, that have the character, and with whom you can find a connection. I think that's very important as we move forward, that for every leader out there, I want you to know that, in my opinion, and forgive me, JB, this is your playground, you can correct me, but I'm going to tell people what I think. I don't think anyone in your company is the right person to guide you as it relates to AI. And the reason being is, if they're inside of your company, they're affected by the decisions around AI. And I believe it's absolutely essential that you get outside of the walls of your business and talk to a safe, objective expert with character, competence, and with whom you can feel a connection. And that's my opinion on it. And I'll ask you to tell me your opinion, because I just think there's tons of employees that are working 1 hour a week doing all their work on AI, but not allowing the company to benefit from that. And I'm not trying to be mean to those people, but I just don't think it's safe to assume your current infrastructure is the place from which you're going to get the wisdom for what to do. I don't think it's inside of your company. And you say, well, the guy's good at fixing computers. He's the guy I'm going to ask. Well, it's a completely different world. So my strong suggestion is, it's somebody outside of your organization who is objective, who has character, competence, and you have a connection with that person. So I'm going to ask you your thoughts on that, but then I'm also going to ask you, because you offered a gift of a person being able to learn and begin the connection with you. So if you can give me your opinion on the outside advisory idea, I think it's absolutely non-negotiable. I am not. You can maybe convince me otherwise, but I think it's absolutely essential that you get outside of your company to get wisdom on your AI strategy. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, absolutely. Because the implementation of AI strategy affects every part of your business. And the one challenge that most leaders, when they implement some sort of AI project, is that they don't think about how all of those components fit together. There's a difference between, integrating and using a technology to integrate, and like Zapier or those kinds of, that's just technology. The real issue is architecting something that connects all of your different departments or the different functions that you have, and making sure that you have a system that can report back to you that you're going in the right direction. You as a leader have a vision for where you want to go. You're driving the train. But the question ends up being, is everybody else doing? Are they on the tracks with you?
Yeah.
Or are they pulling the brakes? Because there's a thing that's out in the marketplace, and ChatGPT was really clear about this. They did a podcast on this. They talked about the usage of ChatGPT is, from a business perspective, it's over 45 to 50% is shadow AI, which means that people are using it at work to get their stuff done. But,
Right.
and that's great, that benefits them. But as you said, James, earlier, it doesn't necessarily benefit the whole organization, because
Right.
now you have what used to be a siloed department are siloed individuals within a department. And talk about the opportunity to get misaligned is
Yeah.
really, really huge. So
Yes.
the leader in today's world needs to understand that, again, because everybody has access to the tool, everybody can use it their own way. You have to put the guardrails around that.
Mhm.
And the only way that you're going to be able to do that is by getting a fresh perspective from outside, right?
Yes.
Somebody who's kind of been there and
Mm-hmm.
understands a little bit about how the departments work. Someone who's willing to really understand where you want to go, which means that if you're not clear about where you want to go, just like an AI doesn't know, whoever you bring in as a consultant can't help you to the greatest degree possible. So go through that process with them to really help you get clear about your values, your
Yes.
decision-making principles, your processes, and then from that you can take it to the next step. But that's generally not
Mhm.
going to be somebody from within your organization.
Right.
It's just not.
Well, yeah, I mean, leadership can be really tough in that leaders make decisions. And from a leadership perspective, you and you alone may be the only one who sees the playground, who sees where you're intending to go, and is capable of making the right decisions. Anyone inside they're inside. If you're in the fog, it's foggy. And if you're inside of that company, you're blinded by what you can see. So I think it's absolutely essential that you have that 30,000 foot view and bring in an expert that you can truly trust to help you refine that 30,000 foot view and make decisions that will best serve all interests. And I just think it has to be outside. So next step, you offered to help people. Can you just tell people how they can begin the journey safely and without any, no commitment, just a
Ab-
gift of helping them?
Absolutely. There's we'll put a link to this in the show notes. But I'm offering a free AI assessment tool that walks you through where your gaps are and how you can
Mm.
become ready relatively quickly. So you just answer a series of questions, not detailed, really high level, but it
Mhm.
gives you a really good flavor for what challenges you need to have
Mhm.
solved. And so normally, I'd go through that process on a consulting basis. It ends up being about $5,000.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
for your listeners, I want to provide that to them as an option that they can go ahead and take
Mhm.
that assessment. They'll get a document that returns a customized version of graphics that tells them where their weaknesses are and all of that, and some suggestions on prototypes that might be appropriate for them.
Well, that's
So
beautiful.
yeah.
So it's a no cost
Mhm.
opportunity for them to expand possibly dramatically
Mhm.
the the size of the questions they can and should be asking themselves, like just to say, oh my goodness, hadn't even thought about the implications in this way or that way. So it will
Right.
expand and clarify vision, even though it's a somewhat simple process to go through.
Mhm.
And the value is normally 5,000. Normally it's done with you, but this way an individual can kind of check out your expertise
Right.
without you checking them out. So it's just them in AI or them in the form. They're not
Mhm.
they're not it's not one on one, and they get all the benefits of that process. And then that might just lead to saying, you know what, maybe I should continue this conversation with JB. And they'll have
Mhm.
the printout and everything. Is that right?
Yep, that's exactly right. Absolutely. And
Well,
there are
that's
other free
absolutely
tools
cool.
too. I mean, my mission really is to help people utilize this technology, because you know what? Small businesses are the key to everything. Really
Yes.
is. And
Yes.
so, but there's nobody really focusing on really providing a solution that helps them utilize this technology for their benefit. So that's what my mission is. Um, the first part of it is the AI assessment. I have a threat assessment. So most people don't even understand that there's a threat that exists out there in the world of AI.
Hmm.
But yeah, well, I can provide that as well. It's a threat assessment tool. So if you happen to use AI,
Wow.
what are your gaps? Where are the
Yes.
likely places that your information systems can be compromised? So
Hmm.
if you're interested in that too, we'll give you we'll put that link in the show notes as well.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. And one of the things I feel like I really want to, I know you've been very generous, but I would love to drag you back, and if you're open to it, because one of the things I'd love to do is play show and tell a bit, because what we
Sure.
haven't talked about is the insanely cool tools that you have, like the insanely cool things that you've already built, tried, tested, proven works for yourself and, your clientele and so on. And you were teasing me a bit before, with some really cool things, and we just, uh,
Hmm.
so I would really like you to be able to play show and tell,
Okay.
and let people know whether they're all your tools or just to give people an idea of what's out there that's
Hmm.
available that they can do. I do want to spotlight you, of course, but I would love to do that again. You've been generous. We went in a lot of directions. Anything that you'd say, I really want to wrap this by making X clear or sharing this one thought. So let me give you the microphone, and ask you, how do you want to wrap this?
Sure. If there's one thing that I want to be really, really clear about with leaders today in this world of AI, is that we don't know so much, and be honest with yourself, right? Acknowledge the fact that we don't know, and say,
Hmm.
how can I learn, and how can I help my team learn at the same time within the
Yes.
context of where I'm guiding my company. If you're doing that on a consistent basis, we can, there are many people like myself who are out here who are trustworthy and who understand how the technology works. Our mission is to help you accomplish that goal that you have, that vision that you've created in your business. So let us help you understand this technology and apply it
Hmm.
with guardrails, with business rules that everybody on your team can utilize. So
I love it. I love it. I sit at the feet of a master, and I appreciate you. You always help me feel like I belong in the conversation. You always help me feel like there's things that I do know that apply here in this world of leadership and AI. And I suspect that's how you are with the people that work with your company, that they feel safe and they feel like they're in good hands, and they're not, yeah, it is not beyond them to understand and to be able to really feel like they are in the driver's seat with expert help. And that to me is a very unique ability with your level of competence and experience and success. So, JB, you're an absolute pleasure. And I can't believe you took time on New Year's Eve to speak with me. You've been so committed with your family over the holiday season, and you probably still have lots of family around, but you took this time, and I thank you. And I encourage everyone to please click on the link to get JB's free assessment. It's a $5,000 assessment. Take advantage of that, and then learn how you can make the most of this opportunity. And I think it's essential, and definitely seek outside counsel. And
mhm.
JB's the best I know of. So thank you so much, sir. Again,
My pleasure. Thank you,
I
James.
appreciate you.
Appreciate it.
And
Absolutely.
Happy New Year, my friend.
You too. Happy New Year to everybody else. Take care.
Okay. Thank you, sir.